I was halfway down the staircase when I heard it. My wife's voice, low and trembling, the kind of trembling people get when they're feeling something they shouldn't. "Yeah, I missed that too," she whispered. "We'll figure something out. Just don't text me right now. He's home." My foot stayed suspended in the air, not even touching the next step. The living room was dim, only the blue glow of her phone lighting half her face. And I swear, in that glow, she didn't look like the woman I married. She looked like a stranger wearing my wife's skin. My pulse hammered, so loud I thought she'd hear it. For a moment, I genuinely believed I should walk back upstairs and pretend nothing happened. Pretend I didn't hear the breathless little laugh she gave someone else. Pretend I didn't hear the way she said good night, like she was sending warmth across the phone. But I didn't walk away. I stood there and listened. Every syllable felt like a needle sliding under my skin. Every pause felt like a confession. When she finally hung up, she took a deep breath, placed her phone on the table, and looked toward the stairs, just as I stepped into the light like nothing was wrong. "Couldn't sleep," I said, forcing a small smile. "Oh," she replied, too quickly. "Yeah, me neither." But she didn't meet my eyes. She couldn't. We'd been married 6 years. I knew her tells like I knew my own reflection. She touched her hair when she lied. She looked away when she hid something. She spoke fast when she was afraid I'd ask questions. She did all three in 10 seconds. I walked past her, pretending not to notice the panic flashing across her expression, pretending I didn't see her subtly flip her phone over. I warmed up leftover coffee, drank half of it without tasting anything, and walked back upstairs. My heart wasn't broken yet. Not fully, but it was cracking, piece by piece. By morning, she was suddenly cheerful, overly cheerful, the way guilty people behave when they want to erase what happened. She made pancakes, hummed a song she hadn't hummed in years, kissed my cheek with lips that felt cold. We sat at the table like two actors performing a scripted marriage. After breakfast, she said she had errands. Errands on a Sunday morning, right? I didn't question her. I didn't even raise an eyebrow, because deep down, I already knew. Still, I tried to pretend we were salvageable. We had a vacation planned, a resort with ocean views, a break we desperately needed. I wanted that week to heal something. She wanted that week to hide something. Hours later, while folding laundry, her phone buzzed beside me on the bed. A name flashed across the screen. Landon, work. Except my wife didn't have a coworker named Landon. Not one in the last 6 years. I didn't open the message, but the preview burned me anyway. Can't stop thinking about last time. When can we? The rest cut off. My chest hollowed out. My breath stuttered. And right then, as if the universe wanted to carve the truth into my bones, she walked into the room and snatched the phone so fast it nearly hit the floor. "Why are you touching my things?" she snapped. "I wasn't," I said quietly. "It buzzed." "You don't get to monitor me." "Ryan," she said sharply, "I don't owe you every detail of my life." There was the sentence that would eventually trigger my revenge. But even then, she had no idea just how deeply she'd messed up. I stayed calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that only appears once a man stops begging to be respected. She stormed out of the room, phone clutched like a lifeline. I sat on the bed, pulse steadying, pain turning into something else, something colder, sharper. Not rage. Clarity. For years, I had been the predictable husband, the stable one, the guy who kept this marriage together even when she stopped trying. But that morning, folding clothes in silence, I realized something. Predictable men can be dangerous when they finally decide they're done. And I was done. The vacation she thought she controlled, it was about to become the stage for her downfall. All I needed was the right moment and the right person. The next 48 hours felt like I was living beside a stranger wearing my wife's face. Madeline floated through the house with an odd mixture of guilt and arrogance, answering messages with her phone tilted away from me, stepping outside for calls she pretended were work-related, and suddenly caring about her appearance at levels she hadn't in years, at least not for me. Her perfume changed. Her routine changed. Her attention changed. But she still expected me to play the loyal husband. Expected me to take her on the trip I had saved up for. Expected me to keep pretending nothing was wrong. I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse her. I didn't ask questions she'd lie through. I just watched, quietly, memorizing every shift in her expression, every fake smile, every unfinished sentence. The day before the trip, She came home late. Again, hair messy in a way that wasn't from wind. She tossed her jacket on a chair, grabbed water from the fridge, and leaned against the counter like she was exhausted from a job she didn't have. You pack yet? I asked, voice calm. She shrugged. I'll do it later. I'm busy. Busy, I repeated softly. She glanced up for a split second, and I saw it. Something flickering behind her eyes. Guilt? Fear? Or irritation that I was still here, still watching, still reminding her of the marriage she was abandoning bit by bit. You know what? She suddenly said, folding her arms. You've been acting strange. Like I owe you explanations for everything I do. You don't, I replied simply. She blinked, surprised. Good, because I'm tired of feeling like I'm being monitored. I nodded. Then we understand each other. She looked relieved. Relieved that I didn't push. Relieved that I didn't ask about Landon. Relieved that she could keep lying without being caught, at least in her mind. Inside, I felt nothing. No sadness. No jealousy. No desperation. Just a quiet, steady certainty. The kind that comes when you've already made your decision. That night, after she fell asleep, scrolling her phone with the brightness turned low, I walked into the living room, sat on the couch, and pulled up the resort reservation on my laptop. 2 guests. 5 nights. Oceanfront suite with a private balcony. Everything she wanted, paid for by me. My cursor hovered over the modify reservation button. My pulse stayed steady. By morning, the booking showed a new name under guest 2. Harper Quinn, a friend I hadn't spoken to in years but had run into recently by pure coincidence. She divorced a year ago and had once told me, half jokingly, if you ever need someone to run away with, call me. I didn't call her to run away. I called her for something else entirely. When she picked up, she sounded surprised. Ryan? Wow, it's been forever. I know, I said. Listen, I have a question, and it's a strange one. I explained just enough for her to understand the situation, but not enough to drag her into something messy. She went quiet for a moment, then laughed softly, almost disbelieving. Are you asking me to go on vacation with you? I'm asking if you want a break from everything. I replied carefully. Fresh air, a free trip, and company. She hesitated, but only for a second. When do we leave? Tomorrow. There was another pause, then, I'll be ready. I hung up the call and leaned back against the couch, letting the quiet settle around me. It didn't feel like rebounding. It didn't feel like revenge yet. It felt like positioning, like adjusting the final pieces on a chessboard. The next morning, Madeline rushed around packing last minute, acting frantic and dramatic, like she was the one fighting to keep this marriage alive. She grabbed her bag. All right, let's go. I stood at the doorway, keys in hand, jacket on, and looked her straight in the eyes. I'm not going. She froze. What? I canceled your ticket, I said calmly. You're not coming. Her face drained. You why? What's going on? Ryan, what is this? I tilted my head. You said you don't want to share every detail of your life with me. So, I figured you wouldn't want me sharing every detail of mine with you either. She sputtered, eyes wide, angry, confused, terrified all at once. What does that even mean? What are you talking about? You'll figure it out. Ryan, stop acting cryptic. I have a right to know. You made it clear you don't care about that right being mutual. For the first time in months, she was the one nervous. She was the one confused. She was the one reaching for answers. And I was finally the one holding them. I walked past her, opened the front door, and stepped out. Ryan, where are you going? Ryan, answer me. But I didn't. I walked to the car, closed the door behind me, and drove off while she stood on the porch, hair messy, suitcase half-zipped, panic rising like smoke. She didn't know where I was going. She didn't know who I was meeting. She didn't know what I knew. And by the time she figured out any of it, it would already be too late. 3 hours later, I picked up Harper from the airport. She looked stunning. Sundress, sunglasses, hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. But more than that, she looked free. You sure about this? She asked as she slid into the seat. Absolutely. As we drove toward the coast, the atmosphere felt like a clean page, light, open, new. Harper didn't flirt, didn't pry, didn't dig into the wound I was hiding. She simply existed beside me like fresh oxygen. And when we arrived at the resort, the employees greeted us with ocean breezes, bright sun, and that unmistakable scent of salt and warm sand. It was the first time in months I felt my lungs open. But Madeline was about to feel hers close. The balcony doors opened with a soft whoosh, letting in the warm coastal wind. Sunlight spilled across the glass table, where two chilled glasses sat waiting, condensation already beating on the sides. Below us, waves crashed against the rocks like the ocean itself was applauding the silence I'd been missing for years. Harper leaned on the railing, looking out at the horizon, her ponytail swaying gently in the breeze. "Ryan," she said softly, "this place is unreal." "So are the last few days," I murmured. She glanced back at me with a look I hadn't seen in my wife's eyes in a very long time. Gentle curiosity. No secrets. No hidden reactions. No guilt. "Hey," she said, stepping closer. "I know you said this isn't, romantic or anything, and I respect that. But are you okay? Really?" The question felt foreign. My wife hadn't asked me that sincerely in years. "I'm better than I've been in a long time," I said. It wasn't a lie. Because being away from Madeline, away from her coldness, her secrecy, her half-truths, felt like stepping out of a cage I forgot I was locked inside. Still, a part of me couldn't stop wondering what she was doing back home. If she was pacing the house, if she was blowing on my phone, if she was telling herself a story where she was the victim and I was the villain because I finally stopped begging for scraps of affection. I didn't check my phone. Not yet. Harper walked over to the table. "Sit. Enjoy the view. I'll pour." She handed me a glass and sat across from me, crossing her legs, eyes shining from the sunlight. She wasn't trying to seduce me. She wasn't trying to replace anything. She was just present. The kind of presence that feels like healing. "So," she said, "are you going to tell me what really happened?" I took a long breath. She met someone. Harper didn't interrupt. She just listened. She didn't say it outright. I continued. But the late night calls, the way she shut me out, the sudden privacy she needed, it wasn't hard to figure out. "And you didn't confront her?" "No," I said. "I didn't want lies when I already had the truth." Harper nodded slowly. "Some people think silence means weakness." "It doesn't," I murmured. "Sometimes silence means a person has finally stopped playing the game." A thoughtful silence settled between us. The ocean roared softly in the background, seagulls calling from somewhere near the shoreline. Then, my phone buzzed. Harper raised an eyebrow. "You're not going to check it?" I exhaled. "I guess I should." I pulled my phone from my pocket. 17 missed calls. 9 voicemails. 22 messages. All from Madeline. The first message: "Where are you?" The second: "You're seriously doing this right now?" Then anger. "This isn't funny, Ryan." Then panic. "Please answer me." Then, "I'm scared. Please come home." Home. She only called it home when she needed something. Harper watched my expression carefully, not judging, not assuming. "Trouble." I turned the phone over. "She's spiraling." I'm guessing she didn't expect you to walk away. "No," I said. "She thought I'd stay predictable." "I always was." "What changed?" Harper asked gently. I looked at her, really looked, and felt something shift inside me. "A man doesn't leave when he's angry," I said. "He leaves when he's finally done hoping." Harper didn't respond. She just reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. Warm, steady, human, not like Madeline's cold, distracted touches. We stayed like that, quiet, the moments stretching comfortably, until my phone lit up again with a new notification. A video message. My heart thumped once hard. I tapped it open. Madeline appeared on the screen, messy hair, red eyes, pacing our living room like a storm trapped inside 4 walls. "Ryan," she said, voice shaking. "I messed up, okay? I don't know what's going on. I don't know where you are. I don't know who you're with. But please come home. I'm losing my mind." She sniffed hard and wiped her face. "This isn't you. You don't disappear. You don't do things like this. You don't punish people." I paused the video. Punish? She truly believed this was punishment? No, this was freedom. Harper leaned closer, reading my expression. "You all right?" I laughed softly. "She thinks I'm punishing her." "Are you?" Harper asked. "No," I said. "I'm living my life for the first time in years." I stood up, walked to the balcony railing, and let the wind hit my face. Below me, the waves were relentless, powerful, unbothered by anything. Then I heard Harper behind me. "Are you going to answer her?" I turned my phone back on, switched to the camera, and lifted it slightly. 2 glasses. Ocean view. sun-kissed balcony. Harper, beautiful, effortlessly elegant, smiling at me with warmth. But no touching, nothing inappropriate, nothing violating guidelines. Just the truth she needed to see. I wasn't alone, and I wasn't waiting for her anymore. The moment was quiet, calm, final. Harper raised her glass and said softly, "Cheers to new beginnings." I hit the record button for a few seconds, just enough to show peace, not revenge, and sent the photo instead of the video. Within seconds, my phone vibrated violently. I didn't look. Not yet. For the first time in a long time, I wanted to enjoy a sunset without feeling like my marriage was suffocating me. I turned back to Harper, smiled, and sat down. Madeline's world was collapsing miles away. Mine was finally opening. For a long moment after I sent the ocean view photo, I didn't touch my phone. I didn't need to. I already knew the storm that would follow. I sat back in my chair, letting the sunset wash over the balcony in warm gold, listening to the waves and Harper's soft voice humming a tune under her breath. Then, buzz, buzz, buzz. My phone lit up over and over like a small, desperate heart. Finally, after a full minute, I picked it up. "Madeline, who is that woman? Where are you? Please tell me. Ryan, we can fix this. I swear. Please come home. I didn't mean what I said. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." I stared at the messages with a strange stillness. This wasn't triumph. This wasn't pride. This was closure, quiet, heavy, long overdue. I typed my response slowly. I needed space to think. I'm safe. I'm not alone. We'll talk when I'm back. No insults. No cruelty. No shouting. Just the truth and a boundary she never thought I'd be strong enough to set. A few seconds later, my phone rang. Madeline's name flashed across the screen. I didn't answer, not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I finally understood something. She didn't get to control how I responded anymore. She didn't get to demand explanations or twist the narrative. She didn't get to hide behind privacy and then panic when I had some of my own. "Everything okay?" Harper asked gently. "Everything's finally honest," I said. She didn't ask anything more. She didn't probe or push. She simply offered another glass of cold, sparkling water and leaned back, watching the sky shift to pink and violet. There was no romance, no ulterior motive, just presence, something I hadn't experienced in years. The next morning, after breakfast on the terrace and a long walk along the quiet shoreline, I finally called Madeline. She answered instantly, breath shaky. "Ryan." "Yeah," I said calmly. Please come home," she whispered. "I can't sleep. I can't think. I mess everything up. I know I did." Her voice was cracking, fragile, not the cold, confident tone she used when she told me she didn't owe me anything. "Madeline," I said gently but firmly, "you shut me out for months. You lied. You had things. You made me feel like a stranger in my own house." "I know," she whimpered, "and I'm sorry. I don't even know what I was doing. I made mistakes. But please don't end us." I stared out the ocean, the endless, calm horizon, and breathed in deeply. "I didn't come here to hurt you," I said. "I came here to think clearly." "And," she whispered, "and I'm not rushing to any decision." Silence. Then she broke down again, trying to salvage something she had neglected long before I walked out that door. "You were my stability," I continued quietly. "And instead of protecting what we had, you treated me like I was disposable." "I know," she said again, smaller this time. "I know. Please just come home so we can talk in person." "We will," I replied. "But when I get back, things won't be the same. There are boundaries now." She sniffed hard. Okay, I'll respect them. Just come back." Her desperation wasn't satisfying the way movies make it seem. It wasn't victory. It wasn't revenge. It was just the reality of a person who realized too late that love doesn't endure neglect forever. When I ended the call, Harper walked up beside me. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said with a small smile. "For the first time in a long time." She nodded. "Good. You deserve peace." I didn't take her hand. I didn't cross lines. I didn't replace one broken thing with another. I just stood beside someone who reminded me what genuine human connection felt like. As we watched the waves touch the sand, I made myself a promise. I wouldn't stay in any place, relationship or otherwise, where I felt unseen. Not anymore. and whether Madeline and I rebuilt something new or walked away in separate directions,